Hello, good afternoon. It is time for me to service you. It is Sunday and it's time for Sunday service with me, your Aunty Nelly. How are you all this afternoon? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be watching me from. Please give me a like, give me a love, give me a share and pop in the comments where you're watching me from. This very drizzly, dark, cold, grey Sunday. It feels like it's winter. Feels like a winter's day. So I'm not going to be stepping outdoors if I can help it. So hello and thank you for joining me for today's Sunday service. Hello Lisa Young. Hello Susan Dawson. Hi Carrie Gill who says good morning. So yes, good morning from the Bahamas, Alana Dory. Hello Natalie Duffy, how are we? Amanda Barrett, hello. Hello everybody who is watching. Stacey Bruce is watching from Tampa, Florida. Sarah Toomey's joined us from Massachusetts and Julie Elizabeth is watching. Chantel Watkinson says hello from Blackpool and Elizabeth Lomax says, hiya Nelly. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be watching me from. It's time for Sunday service. Let me know where you're watching from. Give me a like, give me a love, give me a share. Please be aware there may be some strong language throughout if you've got little ones running round your ankles while you're preparing the Sunday roast. Also, can I just say that any advice I give on today's show is purely for entertainment purposes. And also, can I just say, if anybody comments on your comments with prize, gift, giveaway, winner, it is a scam, so don't fall for it. I think they've stopped doing that now because they're completely aware that my flower pots know that they can't be scammed. If you're wondering what's happened to my hair, I did struggle to get it all on camera. Watch out for a review this week. That's all I'm going to say. But big hair, don't care. Hello from wet and dull Northern Ireland, says Tony Matthews. Yeah, well, hello from wet and dull Haslingden. It's like bloody winter. Good news, good news, good news. In the Brolini household, Olivia is coming home on Friday for a few days to see her mummy and she's bringing Hartley Blue. So that's exciting. So I've got a full week of busyness and then hopefully I can have Friday, Saturday, Sunday off with my little girl. So yeah, so that's exciting. She's finally coming to see her mum. It's been a long time overdue. So Lost Hunter says, I've not seen you for over a year. Well, no, nobody's really seen fucking anybody, have they, with COVID? Here from Australia, Brenda Hunt. Good evening to you. So without further ado, shall we get going with the first Sunday service? If you have anything that you'd like on Sunday service or Night Time with Nelly or any review requests, then please message the page. Let's get going. Dear Aunty Nelly, anonymous please, just letting you know, all the dear Aunty Nellies, oh happy 30th birthday Sarah Johns. Welcome to the dirty 30s. It's Luke from Wigan who's having a pie butty. I can't keep saying hello, can I? I've got to get on. Right, dear Aunty Nelly, my boyfriend is 27 and I'm 59. We got together after meeting in our local. He used to cook me dinner at his flat and it was the first time I have ever been made love to and made to feel like a lady. But then the pandemic hit. Oh, yeah. And I had to shield. We kept up our relationship with FaceTime and phone calls and really missed each other. But he was made redundant early on in the pandemic and didn't have much in savings. So I said I would help him out. I probably send him about £1,300 a month. Christ. I'm now able to see him again, but he hasn't made any attempt at getting another job, and the £1,300 is somewhat expected. I have a feeling, and I don't know if this is a red flag, but is he just using me for money? Please help. Oh. So if this lad met you, because I'm not really going to go with the age here. He's 27, you're 59. You're both legal, it's consensual, so it's not really an age thing because we can be manipulated or abused emotionally by anybody of any age, really. So if you hadn't met this lad in pandemic, and then offered him, you know, I'll help you out on a monthly basis, what would he be doing instead? So I think sometimes it's not really a case of him not attempting to get a job. He's got it pretty cushy because you've made it pretty cushy for him. So if he's getting £1,300 put in his bank account every single month, because that's what you've decided to do, then you're paying for his lifestyle, aren't you? You don't really need to get a job, does he? He's having fucking time of his life. Can you afford to fund him £1,300 on a monthly basis? How you spend your money is entirely up to you. But you've obviously got some questions and it's not sitting comfortably with you. So have you got a gut feeling? Is the red flag in the sense of where it's become an expectation? Has he been texting you saying, don't forget to transfer me money? What are you actually getting out of this relationship? Because if you say to him, look, I can no longer afford to give you that money, what would happen then? Where would we go from here? So that's how you'd find out if he's only using you for money. So, you know, things only happen to us, I say this week in, week out, that we allow to happen to us, okay? So that is the only thing I will say. So I would certainly have a frank and honest conversation with him and say, look, I have not minded for one moment helping you out in the pandemic. I offered because I could afford to, but unfortunately I can no longer afford to do that. So what are your plans about getting a job? But once again as well, because you're 59 and 27, you're going to have to be careful here not to sound like a parent. You don't want to be parenting him. It's up to him as a grown-ass man to start looking for a job of his own and start earning his own wage and putting his own food on his own table. So I think have that conversation and say, look, I can't afford to do this anymore, I'm ever so sorry, and see what happens then. If then contact becomes very minimal and he no longer starts inviting you around for meals and having lovely times like you did pre-pandemic, then obviously, yeah, you got a little bit too reliant on the money, and that's what we're all for. He saw a meal ticket. So there we go. So that's what I would say there. So it's a lot of money, is £1,300 over the year. It adds up, and you have been a great help to him, and I think that's smashing that you've been able to help him and you've wanted to help him. But you also have to sort of like quench the thought of, is it just about the money? And by doing that, tell him you're no longer going to pay him and then see his actions then. So it's about actions. But what have we got here? Have we got a little troll on? Bear with me while I just block the troll. Blocked. That's easy, isn't it? I've got like a little red cross now. So there we go. So that troll's been blocked, my apologies. So that's what I would do. So in a way, you're getting sort of like you're taking power and control back, but you're not being nasty about it. And then his actions, once you stop giving him the £1,300, will show you whether he's in it for the money or not. Yeah? So the age thing really isn't a thing, I don't think. You know, if you're in a loving relationship with a 27-year-old man and he's consistent with you and he makes you happy, it's nobody's business. Okay, dear Aunty Nelly. Oh, I've been 8 years, no, can't read. It's been 8 years and I'm still not over my ex. I find myself thinking about him nearly every day. I haven't found anyone else. What should I do? Do you have any tips on how to move on? Because I'm still in love with my ex 8 years on. I don't want to be in a relationship in the future if it's not with him. Is it natural to feel this way? 8 years on and you're still madly in love with your ex, I'm not going to say it's not natural to feel this way, because who am I to say that, you know, feelings of loss, feelings of grief, feeling of being rejected, you know, it's different for everybody. But what I would say is 8 years is a hell of a long time for you to put your life on hold for anybody. 8 years is a long time for you to be craving a person that is probably moved on by now. It could even have his own wife and kids. and he probably has, you might just be a complete distant memory to him. And what you're doing is you're cock blocking yourself by putting someone on a pedestal. You're keeping the door open for somebody that's never going to come through it. While that door's open for somebody, you're never going to be able to open it for anybody else. And I think it's right that you say you don't want to be in a relationship, because I don't think whether it's 8 months on or 8 years on, you're ready for a relationship, because you're still hankering after your ex. So you need to work on yourself. What you need to do is put this to bed. There are some really, really important steps we can do to move on from an ex, and whether that's we broke up yesterday or last year or 8 years ago. But the thing is that I'm not telling you that you have to forget the memories. The reason why you may have these wonderful, strong feelings of love for them is because he may have been the first person that you fell in love with. He may have made you grand gestures. He may have promised you the earth, and being with him felt better than it does without him. So you have to realise that sometimes things just come to an end, and they did 8 years ago, and you're missing out on living your life and all these opportunities that may have passed you by in 8 years. Don't worry about that, because what I will say is what's for you won't pass you. So what I'm going to say to you is, no, you're not ready for another relationship because you're still in love with somebody else, and you can still be in love with him for the rest of your life, but accept that it's time for you to start loving you more. You've got to start loving you more. What is it that you want to do with your life? You've got to start going out with your friends, with your family. You've got to have a different social circle. You've got to make sure that if he's on your social media that you block him. If you've got his texts in your phone, delete them. You've got to start detoxing, because if you don't detox from this person, then you're not going to be able to start moving on. And it's got to be small steps, whether it's 8 months ago or 8 years ago, it doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. Let's pretend today is day one, not one day, today is day one. So if he's on your social media, get rid of him, because otherwise you spend hours a night looking who's liked his pictures, where does she live, who's she, where's she from, what's he doing now, and you're not having any divine timing with anybody else. In your karmic bubble, it's all going to be doom and gloom, because you're going to feel hurt and you're going to feel lost. When you're feeling you're lacking something, then you're blocking that coming in. So rather than feeling in a place of lack, I want you to start feeling in a place of abundance. So you're going to start loving yourself. And today might be a hard day by removing the text messages or deleting him on social media. And then tomorrow it'll be a little bit easier, and within 5 days it'll become a habit, and you'll no longer keep checking your phone to see what he's been on with, what he's up to, speaking to people and casually dropping his name into a conversation just to see what he's on with. You need to start removing yourself, and it's slow steps to a detox. And you've also got to realise that it's okay to feel lost, because you're going to put these things in place, hopefully, that whatever you went through 8 years ago, you're going to go through again, because it's once again a loss. So you're going to lose him now in a real way, because you need to do that in order to live your life to the fullest. And we can't hanker on to people that are no longer in our life through their choice. So you have to accept that. You have to accept that he no longer wants to be with you. It's been 8 years, he's moved on, he's probably married, got a family of his own. Why should you stop yourself from being loved? And firstly, falling in love with yourself. Fall in love with yourself and go through the grief, go through the detox. And when you feel ready, I think it's okay to maybe try online dating, or maybe even do dating. Because I'm not saying that you've got to have a new boyfriend, and I'm not saying that you've got to get married. But what I am saying is that when you start looking at other men, and you start dating other men, or you start getting your phone flashing up with other men, that is going to be a perfect distraction from your ex. So you need to pop something in your life that's going to distract you. So whether that's going out with friends, starting a new hobby, starting a new box set, writing a journal, working on yourself with guided meditation, that's what you have to do. So if anybody else knows of any tips on how to start trying to get over your ex, then please pop it in the comments. It's hard, is unrequited love. It's hard, but sometimes you've got to let go and move on for your own sanity. You've got to, you've got to, no matter even if it's somebody that's in your phone that's saying, hi, how are you? Or somebody that's just keeping you on the back burner or archiving you. Somebody that just uses your messages as an ego boost for them. That is not something that is doing your soul any good. You are worthy of so much more. Take back your power. Get in control of your emotions and feelings. You are so worth it. And let that person go. I'm not saying that you don't have to be polite. If somebody's messing you about on social media, on text messages, WhatsApps, whatever, and they're fucking ghosting you left, right and centre, and then they're picking you up like a spare piece off a chessboard just and when it suits, don't be impolite with them. If they message, reply back with, yes, I'm okay, thank you, hope you are, but fucking move on. Move on. Those doors will not open while you've got it open for somebody else who's never going to come through it. So you've really got to start looking after you, and what's for you won't pass you. So please look after you. And by doing that, by knowing your self-worth and removing yourself from any toxic energy, it will build your self-esteem. It will give you a whole load of self-confidence. And before you know it, you'll be able to just think about him as somebody that you used to know. And I'm not saying that you have to hate him or dislike him or whatever. You know, wish him well, because, you know, that's karma. You put out good, you get good. Okay, so me and my husband are not on the same page, Aunty Nelly. I think our son, who is 6.5, is old enough to know that he is actually, my husband is actually not his biological father. Okay. He has been in his life since he was 6 months old. So he doesn't know any different. And he has always called him Daddy. We also have 2 younger boys. I think my husband worries that once we tell our son, he will feel left out. Although he loves him and treats him the same as the other 2 children. To an outsider, you would never know that he is not his biological dad. So from people's experiences, is there any flower pots who know what is the best age to tell a child thank you? He's 6.5, isn't he? I mean, how old is he at 6.5? I mean, 6.5 child, they're still got imaginary friends and running round like they've been plugged in on a bloody iPhone charger, and it depends on their emotional intelligence. I wouldn't actually go in with a sledgehammer approach on this one, and I don't know whether 6.5 is old enough, young enough, the right age, the wrong age, but I don't know whether it's absolutely necessary for you to tell him that his dad's not his dad, even though his dad is his dad at the moment. Because why would you have to tell him? You maybe have to tell him when he's like looking for his passport, his birth certificate, that sort of thing. And I'm not saying wait till he's 18, but I think at 6.5, I think this is more your issue than your little boy's. Your little boy's happy, running around. He's got 2 little brothers, and he's got his mum, and he's got his dad, and he's happy. And your husband's got anxiety thinking, well, when he finds out, will he think I won't love him as much as his brothers? And he's every right to think that. So that's a topic of conversation that you'd put in that when you do tell him. But I don't think at 6.5 is the right age, if there is a right age. I think it's something that maybe you should approach with him when he's maybe a teenager. When he's a teenager and, you know, maybe when he's like 12, 13, and you can have a little bit more of an adult conversation with him, and he understands family dynamics a bit better, and he understands relationships a bit better. And also prepare yourself for all the questions of, well, where's my real dad? Why didn't my real dad want me? You know what I mean? I want to see my real dad. So you may be opening up a can of worms at the minute at 6.5 that he hasn't got the emotional intelligence for. And then when he does get that little bit older, then he's going to start asking all over again. So I think it depends when he's emotionally intelligent enough to be able to ask all the questions so that you can answer everything in one go and put it to bed and then take it from there. But yeah, you absolutely do need to tell him that his dad's not his biological dad. Absolutely. I'm not saying don't do that. I'd just say at 6.5 years a little bit young, only because he's having such a nice time in his life. He's got mummy, daddy, his 2 little brothers. He's at school probably. He's having a lovely time. Why rock the boat at the minute when it doesn't need to be? I'd leave it a couple of years. That's my personal opinion. I don't know if anybody's been commenting with anything that they may have done, or they may have thought, you know, that they did and it's better than my advice. I've never been in that situation. But certainly, yes, you're going to have to tell him. But I do feel that 6.5 is a little bit too young. Wait till he's a little bit more emotionally developed. So somebody's just put, teenagers have it rough enough, tell him now. And I get that, I totally get that. I don't think we're ever going to find a right and wrong answer to this. And you'll know your little boy better than me. But yeah, definitely, I think, depending on his emotional intelligence, do not keep it a secret. Not that you both want to, but when he's a little bit older. When he's a little bit older, and I'm not saying 21, when he's a little bit older, I would say. So, and then, you know, just be prepared for the list of questions that you're going to get. What does my dad look like? Why did he not want to be with me? Where does he live? How old is he? Have I got any brothers and any other brothers and sisters? Did he marry again? You're going to get 100 billion questions, aren't you? So, you know, and I think your husband doesn't really need to worry, because I'm sure that your little boy doesn't feel left out, and I'm sure your little boy isn't going to go, I get it, that's why they get a pudding and I don't. You know, if your little boy is treated no differently and is loved just the same, then that's not going to be an issue. But dad will have to confirm that, so that dad feels better and lets him know that, to me, it doesn't matter, you've always been mine. So you could always speak to children's services and see if there's any pamphlets, leaflets, booklets, anything they might be able to send out in the post. I know everything's being done in the post at the moment. In order to broach that subject, using maybe vocabulary that's a little bit more child friendly, in order to broach the subject that there may be questions that he may ask that you've not even thought of. So I would certainly speak to child services, give them a ring, let them know, and see if there's any sort of like pamphlets, leaflets, little books on how to tell your child that the dad's not the biological father. I am sure to God you're not the first one and you won't be the last, so I'm sure that child services will definitely have something on record that they'll be able to share with you, and they may even say, why don't you wait till he's 9, or yeah, today is, because obviously they're the professionals, today is the day to do it, don't wait another day. I don't know, but personally I'd think 6.5 is too young. But certainly get in touch with child services in your area, and I'm sure there'll be something on file that will assist you. So I wish you the best of luck with that. And what a lovely man that you married, who took on your son as his own. And now he's just his son as well. I think it's lovely. Dear Aunty Nelly, sometimes my friend is kind of racist. Here we go. I mean, he knows half of my family is mixed race, but he says the most racist stuff and shares racist stuff on his social media that he thinks is really funny. It makes me uncomfortable to open messages from him. How can I call him on it and explain it so he understands and I don't lose the friendship? Thanks. I'm known for my brutal honesty, and if I don't say it, my face will. Why do you want to be friends with someone who's racist? Number one. So why are you bothered about breaking it to him lightly? Why are you bothered about explaining why it's wrong to be racist so that he understands? Why are you putting him in a little padded room and making him feel comfortable to tell him that you feel uncomfortable? He's fucking racist. Why do you want to be friends with a racist, number one? And why are you having to explain to him that the things that he says and the things that he shares are not just making you uncomfortable, but they're actually completely unacceptable? I could not be friends with a racist. I know people who find certain little things funny and move on. They're not the people that I'd have at my dinner table breaking bread with. There are people like that in the world, but I certainly would want to lose the friendship. That's why when we get into our 40s, 47, you can count your friends on one hand, whereas you might be able to count them on all your hands, fingers and toes and ears. Do you know what I mean? But you sort of like, when you start growing and people have different opinions, different prejudices, you sort of remove yourself from that. I think he's doing you a favour by showing you who he really is, and whether your friend is racist, prejudiced, does things that you're not comfortable with, such as like Class A drugs or whatever. If you're uncomfortable in a friendship, you shouldn't be in that friendship. So I don't want you to have to think too much about how you tell him so it's comfortable for him, because I don't think you should be his friend. I think you should completely remove yourself from him, and hopefully social media would ban him each time he posts something that is racist and he thinks it's funny. I don't care whether your family is mixed race. I don't think anybody should be making racist comments regardless of your family background, you know, your culture, your values, your background, your genetics. I just think it's not funny and it's absolutely disgusting, and I don't want people around me like that. It's toxic behaviour. So how can I tell him and explain it? You don't have to tell him and explain it. If he doesn't know that that's wrong, then it's not your job to do that. Because you can speak to stupid all day long. Stupid won't ever engage with your... It's like playing chess with a pigeon. And no matter how good you are at chess, the pigeon is always just going to shit all over the board and fuck off, innit? So you can't reason with stupid. Leave him to it. Leave him to it. He is not your problem. Fucking come away. Come away. Don't worry about losing that friendship. You don't want friends like that. Move on. Let him just be on his own with his own whatever he thinks is funny, and he'll end up being on his own and living a very, very sad little life. So there we go. I just can't stand it. I can't stand it, and I couldn't accept it. So I don't know why you should. Yeah. So, you know, are we going out Thursday night? No, not this. No, we're not going out. Well, why not? Are you busy? No, I've just decided that I don't really want to hang around with you anymore because you're not my kind of people. Why? What does that mean? Well, you're racist and I'm not, so have a nice life, flower. You know, if it comes to that, you can be honest and open, but you can't sit there and educate stupid. It's not your job to. But there's no need to fall out. There's no need to have an argument. There's no need to be impolite. As I said earlier, you get the message. Hi, how are you? I'm fine, thank you. Do you fancy going out? No, sorry, I don't. I wish you well, but no, I don't want to be mixing with likes of you. Move on. Dear Aunty Nelly, my sister has been drinking heavily most of her adult life. She's now 49. She's sold almost everything she owned, and she's had to move in with our mother, who has MS and can't and shouldn't be in this situation. She wakes up and drinks the cheapest drink she can buy and won't eat anything. She often is passed out on the bathroom floor. I'm half a country away, and the only thing I can do is call my mum every day to see how things are. Oh dear God. I've begged her to go to rehab along with the rest of the family, but she won't go. Is there anything at all that I can do? I don't know what to do. We don't know what to do. Please help. Okay, so I think it is a bit unfair that, you know, your mum who's got MS, bless her, is having to put up with that. But at the end of the day, you have to remember that that's also your mum's daughter. It's your mum's child. And your sister has got an illness. You're trying to see if she'll go to rehab. You're telling her she's got a problem, but she doesn't see the problem, and addicts usually don't. They're not ready to admit they've got a problem. they don't see that they're passed out on the bathroom floor. It's, you know, it's people around them that do, and it is absolutely soul destroying. Have you thought about having some kind of intervention with her doctor, with a nurse, with a crisis team? Have you got in touch with Alcoholics Anonymous, who are absolutely incredible on all their support and advice for people who are living with an addict? So even though they're the addict, they're the alcoholic, they're the ones who are destroying their life, they also have so much in their bag that can help the people around them. So it's not that I can tell you what to do, and it's not that they can tell you what to do. They can say, this is what you may be able to do, but unless she accepts the help, there's nothing anyone can do. She's a grown-ass woman. You can't force her to get help. You can take a horse to water, but you can't fucking make it drink, can you? Do you know what I mean? So, you know, it's all right saying you need to go to rehab, and everyone's saying you need to go to rehab. Contact Alcoholics Anonymous. Tell them that you've got a family member who is battling alcoholism. What do you do from here? You're worried about your mum, and you say that you're half a country away. Have you thought about maybe taking a weekend off, getting in your fucking car and driving up, getting mum in the car and taking mum out for an afternoon and asking her how she really is? Because you should be able to have that phone call with mum saying, how you doing, mum? How's Liz next door? Have you been to Tesco? Whatever it may be, how are you feeling this week? Rather than, hiya mum, are you alright? Has she been drinking today? Your conversation's going to revolve around your sister, and your mum's care and needs may get lost in translation here. So I think get in your car, get up to see your mum, make sure she's alright, and get in touch with Alcoholics Anonymous and let them know your situation, and they will tell you on the steps that may be able to be done should your sister want that help. You cannot forcibly take your sister out your mum's home unless your mum says, I want her to leave, because don't forget that is your mum's daughter, even though it's your sister. Yeah? Oh God, what is this one? Oh dear Christ, are you ready? My son has been with the same girl for 6 years. He's in his 20s. When they were first together, I thought she was great. She's smart, friendly enough, and was about to start a master's degree. The problem is they've been together for about a year, and she and her mother became insanely possessive of my son. The girlfriend also got increasingly rude towards me. She didn't want me to have any alone time with my son. Fast forward to when he was 18 and he completely cut contact with me and my husband and moved out of our home overnight. The only contact he's had with us is in demand that we give him money from an inheritance account. Yes, it is his money, but this is literally the only contact he has had with us. He lives right now with his girlfriend and her parents. We've been up to the house several times and demanded to see him, but our son says he doesn't want to see him, and we are so worried. They've kidnapped your son, haven't they? And we are so worried about him. The girlfriend or her parents will never answer the door, and if they do, they say he's not home, and then they shout at us and tell us to go because he doesn't want to see us. Also, the girlfriend is convinced that we've abused our son and shouts and screams child abusers at us. I don't know what lies my son has told them, but we were very strict parents who always deeply loved our wonderful son, our only son. His wicked girlfriend's words have hurt me so much because we care about our son. How dare she accuse us of anything? We are just terrified of all what is happening to our son. He is so deep in this relationship, he believes everything they say and has abandoned the foundation of morals and ethics that we made sure to enforce. I don't know what to do. Sorry, this is a long and rambling message. I'm just really upset. I don't know if I'm asking the right person for advice. Please help. I think the right person for advice here would be to go and see the police. Somebody has kidnapped your son. They haven't really, because he's 18, and when you're 18 years old, you're allowed to move out your parents' property, you're allowed to live on your own, you're allowed to get a mortgage if you've got enough money to fund it, you're allowed to live on your own and do as you please, because he's 18-year-old in this country, in the United Kingdom. I think it might be I don't know how old it is in other countries, but as I'm going to talk about it UK. What I would say here is it sounds to me like he's an emotional hostage. You know, if that's a bit brutal, but he's met this girl, everything's lovely, she's a parent's only child, he's your only child, and he's moved in with them, and now you can't see him at all, and the only contact he had with you were to say, Mum, that money and that inheritance, now I'm 18, can I have it? Go to the police, please, and tell the police and say, look, I know that my son is allowed to move out at 18, and if he wants to break contact with us, that's fine, even though it's not fine and you're probably crying yourself to sleep every night. You need to make sure that he's not being held as an emotional hostage. You need to make sure that he's not being coerced into not speaking to his parents. You need to make sure that he's actually okay. Is he being manipulated? Are they narcissists and only thinking about their needs and not his, and certainly not yours? So you need to get a police officer to go around and do a welfare check. Also contact your social services, adult social services, and let them know that you're wanting a welfare check done on an adult who is your son. Let them know the situation. If they then go around, is there any scope for doing some kind of mediation between both the families to try and see if there can be any contact? Tell the police that you've never abused your son, and you know, because you've got nothing to hide. Where has this come from? Because that is a criminal offence. It's slander, especially saying that you're, you know, a child abuser. That's absolutely horrific. You know, and shit sticks, doesn't it? So I would certainly ring Adult Protective Services, and I would contact the police. See if there's any way that you can have a mediation done, and if it comes down to it that he just decides that because of your strict parenting, which you've put in the message, you type that, not me, he may be having the absolute fucking time of his life. He may think, fucking great, the girlfriends, I can come and go as I please, I can eat what I want, play me music, I can drink, I can smoke, I can whatever. He might just be having a fucking great time because you've been so strict as parents, and he may think, this is what I want to do that, and you might have to let him do it. He may also say, I don't like you and I don't want any contact with you. But ultimately, regardless of whether he wants contact with you or not, I would certainly be contacting services to do a welfare check on your son to make sure that he's where he needs to be, he's happy being where he needs to be, and nobody's forcing him to be anywhere. Because it sounds to me like there might be a little bit of emotional hostage going on here. And that would absolutely break my heart. Once you've then ticked all the boxes for his welfare, you can then sleep at night, because there will be nothing else that you can do then. And then that's when, if he says, I'm not interested in my mum and dad, that's when you start then dealing with your feelings on loss. And that's all I can advise here. It's absolutely horrific that you brought this boy up to the age of 18, and all of a sudden then he decides to move in with girlfriend, which is fine, in a parent's house, which would also be fine. But it's the cut contact, it's the fact that he can no longer make any contact. I mean, he's in his 20s now. This, you know, how long has this been going on for? You know, 3 years, 2 years? Is he still living with parents? I don't know. But I'm concerned about his welfare, not the fact that he wants grandma's money or the fact that he don't want to speak to me. I'm bothered about his welfare, because that'd be my son who I brought in this world, and I want to make sure that he's not being coerced or emotionally abused in any sense. So that's what I would do. Okay. Dear Aunty Nelly, I was hit by a drunk driver, so now I can barely walk. I can't chase my daughter around the park anymore like I used to, so there's very little we can do. The pain keeps me up all night, so I sleep in the day. I feel like a failure. Plus, I'm a single parent. I feel exhausted. I want my daughter to have a wonderful life and have lovely things in her life, but I now can't provide them as I am on benefits. If it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be here now. She's the only thing that's keeping me going, but I feel so helpless as a parent. How could I change my mindset in order for her to live a full life? Thank you. She is 6. I am, number one, so very sorry that the reason that you now have a disability is because of a drunk driver. I am so sorry about that. And that isn't a disability that you've grown up with. So it must have come as a massive shock when you were able-bodied and now you're really struggling. I mean, you may not physically be able to provide all the things that you may have been able to provide for her in the first place when you had a full-time job and now you're on benefits, because benefits don't provide much. I understand that. And being a single mum, I've been there, and it is hard, and you have the mum guilt double, I think, because you can't give them all the best things. You've got to scrimp and save. I've been there, I've done that as a single mum. I know how it feels. But you can definitely still be there for your daughter mentally, emotionally and spiritually. The thing that we need to most do in parenting is guiding our children, you know, to be good, intelligent, respectful people, and setting them up to succeed on their own. That's our job as parents. It's not about buying them the best brand new Barbie. It's nice if we can get out in the fresh air, but it's not about running round the park, and I think that's a little bit more of your issue more than it will be your daughter's issue. But I think showing your daughter, you know, to be a good human being, to do well in her schoolwork so that she can be the best at what she wants to be respectful to other people, be kind, you know, making the best of what we have rather than always striving for something that is keeping up with the Joneses. Life doesn't work like that. And I think the adversity that you're facing will make your daughter more empathetic, compassionate and accepting of everybody. So you've got to give yourself more credit than what you're giving. You're bashing yourself for not being able to provide. But nothing really has changed in your parenting except now you struggle to walk and you're in a lot more pain than you was. So you may need a nap in the day. It's about explaining that to our children and letting them know what situation we're in. Lots of families out there are in completely different dynamics. There's lots of child carers out there because they have a parent that struggles. But please don't be thinking that you're a hopeless parent because you can't provide all these wonderful things in life. It costs absolutely nothing to provide our child with the education of good manners, how to love everyone and how to be kind. And if you provide the mental and emotional and spiritual support that that little girl needs, and you guide her into adulthood where she's able to succeed on her own, then your job's done, and that won't cost a penny. So change your mindset in the way of give yourself more credit for what you're actually achieving. And you've got that little girl who's going to flourish into a young adult, into a grown woman, and she's going to be so proud of you, and you're going to be so proud of her. So I wish you the best of luck with that. I really do. And I don't think for one moment it's about the kids who are getting the new bloody scooters or the new PlayStations, or, you know, kids don't remember that when they're grown. They don't. Kids remember who was there for them. Kids remember the quality time together. And you may not run round the park with her, but you can still probably go outside, pick up leaves, paint some stones, do lots of lovely little activities like I used to do with Olivia. We didn't have much money. I were a single mum. I were doing my student nursing. God, there were times I'd sit at the table and I'd think, I hope she leaves something so I can eat. I've been in that situation. We could have both at mum and dad's every night, but you don't do it for pride. So, but we got there, and my daughter got raised by a single mum who hardly had a penny to her name for a long time. She ended up going to Kingston University and qualifying as a graphic designer, first class honours, and she's the most beautiful, intelligent, kindest, sensitive soul you would ever meet. So I may not have been able to flourish Olivia with all the materialistic things in life, but I was certainly able to show her the way, give her the guiding light to succeed on her own as an adult. And I don't think that has a price on it. Even though it costs nothing, it is priceless to do that. So that's all I have to say about that. So good luck with your parenting. I'm sure you'll absolutely smash it because you're already worried, and to be worried about it means you care. So put in the work, the effort, which I think you're already doing, and you'll be fine. So my gorgeous flower pots, that has been today's Sunday service. Have you enjoyed it as much as I have? Because I have very much. I got up at 7 o'clock this morning. I did all the housework, top to bloody bottom, stripped my bed. Bedding's been washed, it's dried, it's back on bed, everything's lovely. So I'm gonna actually take a well-deserved afternoon off after I've jumped on Gram now and done Ask Me Anything. So if you want to catch me over now on Ask Me Anything, I'm going live on Instagram. But in the meantime, I'll see you all very, very soon. Don't forget, if anybody comments with gift, prize, giveaway, whatever, it's a scam. Any advice I give today was purely for entertainment purposes. Give me that like, give me that love, give me that share, and I'll see you all very, very soon.